Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is a sponsored video sponsored by Anne for Anonymous, and here is her story. Wish to be kept anonymous. Thank you. Hey, I love your videos and wish you all the best with your channel's success. I really wish I could pay you for this assistance, but unfortunately I have no job at the moment, and I will explain why through this message that I can hopefully manage to keep at a decent length. Basically, for starters, I have always been very kind-hearted to everyone. I was even the type of person as a kid who would frequently apologize to my bullies for feeling guilty towards reacting so negatively to the physical and emotional verbal abuse I received from many people as a kid. However, I never really thought much of how people were treating me because I just wanted everyone to be happy, even if that really hurt me. I am still that way, but no doubt I set boundaries and expectations for fair treatment these days. So, to keep things shorter, I went my whole childhood being bullied. My family seemed supportive, but then high school came along and made things worse. This was also mid-elementary school as well. When I started to explore with becoming my own person with my own desires and my own goals, my family started not to react so well. My mom threatened behavioral boot camp or locking me in a mental facility against my will, especially because I would refuse to open up to her about why I was so upset with her or sometimes other things in life. Okay, open up to her about what? Of course I never wanted to open up to her because these threats would always arise. I always had to make the choice into jumping out of speeding vehicles just to get away from all her threats to me. If you're jumping out of speeding vehicles, that's a problem. If you're jumping out of speeding vehicles, no wonder she's threatening you with it's making it easy for her to threaten to put you in a mental facility or behavioral boot camp. When you say you won't talk to her about, obviously you're acting as if there's something wrong. And you won't tell her, and then you're jumping out of speeding cars? That makes it real easy for them to label you as crazy when you do crazy shit. All I wanted was to be happy, but she was losing control over me. That's when I learned this disturbing truth about not just her, but her followers, including my sister and my dad. Along with many of the people I went to school with, people were manipulating me. The only way people were nice to me was to have control. The moment I took a second to think for myself for once, everyone randomly switched behaviors and became completely hostile, and some of them, like my mother, threatening. This is more so in my family than school. And of course, I'm not meaning to refer to the people I went to school with as toxic or narcissists, but it just lines up with the example of how I'm treated by most people, especially above all else, my mother and sister. My dad was more so physically abusive than verbally. My mom has been physically abusive just to try to show me how much stronger she is than me. And my sister is very, very much a follower to my mother. She deeply fears my mother and ever disagreeing with her, whereas I'm not afraid to call my mom out if she's wrong or being rude, no doubt she finds that threatening. My mom has countless amounts of times threatened to make me homeless, even locking me out of the house. I had to literally use the law against her just to keep a roof over my head. Every time I try to get away from her, she destroys everything in my path. Yeah, but you called the cops, and the cops... Wait, well, which way is it? They're trying to put you in a mental institution, Okay? But the cops are, but when you call the cops, they don't say she needs to be put in a mental institution. The cops say you have to live in the house, and you're 20 years old at this point. You're an adult. You're bragging that you have no problem getting in your mom's face when you perceive her as mean or rude. Yet they're all ganging up on you to the point where you're jumping out of speeding cars, okay? But then they're threatening to make you homeless by locking you out of the house, and you're getting the police involved who are forcing you back into the house at 20. You're leaving a lot out here, Anonymous. You have some entitlement issues. And I'm going to tell you how I know this, because this is written exactly how everyone who writes to me with entitlement issues writes. Another block text. Okay? The original didn't say you needed a sponsor, like it said. You didn't follow the rules. 4 days later, you sent me a follow-up email that just said sponsor at the top, telling me you had sent me another email and for me to go find it. You seem like, now your family could be very toxic. I don't know. But from what you're showing me, what you've already shown me in your hand here, and how you write and how you're handling yourself, you have some serious entitlement issues. And there are some major holes in your story here. And I have dealt with plenty of people involved with religious cults and in that type of religious bullying and gang stalking. I've never had one who said I had to call the police to force me back into the house but they're threatening to throw me in a mental institution and I'm jumping out of moving cars. No, they don't. The one doesn't go with the other. This sounds like histrionic borderline personality disorder again. Every time I try to become successful, she destroys any chance I have. So I have to fear her threats. I know that even being homeless, she would watch me closely as would her followers. And once I find a way to succeed, she would destroy it. Do you know when narcissists have followers like this, they don't call the police and the police force them back into the house with them. She watches like a hawk, then strikes. She can destroy anything at the blink of an eye. I too have a YouTube channel. It's not that successful, but I hope for one day to be so. It's really the only happiness I have left on this planet. My goals are the only reason I am alive right now. She has also made it clear to me that many times she doesn't care what happens to me if I live on the streets. Then you're 20 years old. You're an adult. Okay? Like, what is it? You want to stay in her house? You want to stay in her house and live by your rule? Like, which is it? Which is it? Sometimes it's better to suffer on the streets than it is to try for some false sense of security in the house. Because you can't have it both ways here, Anonymous. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to have it both ways. There's a lot of holes in your story. This isn't even close to everything. I hope it was enough to help others and for you to maybe help me gather some clarity as to, is she really a narcissist? I'm at a stage where she has me desperately questioning myself and who I am. I don't know if she's a narcissist. I see a lot of red flags in what you're telling me, though. A lot of red flags in what you're telling me. You can't be jumping out of moving cars, speeding cars, because you say they're threatening to put you in a mental institution, and then jump out of a moving car. And then say, well, I'm calling the cops because she's threatening to remove me from the house at 20 years old, and the cops are forcing me to stay. But I have no problem getting in her face if she's rude or mean, but the rest of my family and everybody's ganging up on me. You have entitlement issues. That's what I'm going to tell you first and foremost. And nobody's going to have sympathy for a histrionic with entitlement issues, period. And you may not like that. That might be harsh, and that's not what you want to hear. But you have to get over your own entitlement issues first. There's entitlement on how you wrote this. It's not edited. It's one block of text. The second email, because it didn't say you needed a sponsor at the top. It said you didn't have money a couple lines in, which I tell you, if it doesn't say it. The second email just said sponsor, telling me you wrote me an email at this address 4 days earlier. And basically to go find it. Not resending me the email. Again, that's entitlement. Here, you go. Here, I'm going to give you the minimum. You go figure out the rest. Nobody wants to deal with that. That's an entitlement problem that is burned into your head that follows you everywhere you go. That is an entitlement that at 20 years old, that you're calling the police, that you're bragging that you're calling the police because your mother's trying to throw you out of the house and you got to stay, but you're saying that she's been trying to throw you in a mental institution or a behavioral boot camp because you won't tell her what's going on, but you're jumping out of moving cars. It's real easy to make the histrionic look crazy and seem crazy. And if you're going to carry on with histrionics, this is where your life's good. It's just going to get crazier from here on in. That's the best advice I can give you, Anonymous. So thank you for writing in. Thank you to Ann for sponsoring. I hope this helps. I really do hope this helps, and I hope it helps other people as well. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.